YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So, we've got something a bit different. We've been doing a lot of stuff with the on-road and the race cars, setting it up. So, this is totally different. And we're going to show you how to set up the FS-R4B, little tiny receiver. This is on the G7P. So the new Flysky 7-channel controller. This is a 4-channel receiver. It's got Autobind and it runs the ANT protocol. It's PPX4. We've got a nice little antenna on it. So I think this is kind of the perfect sort of receiver to run with this kind of RC. You've got channels 1 to 4 and they're just marked out. You've got a little operating LED so you can see when it's powered up or what mode it's doing. And it'll run 3.5 to 8.4 volts. So if you ever decided you wanted to run higher powered servos or a higher powered ESC that's got a 8.4 volt BEC, you're more than capable of doing that with this. So first thing we're going to want to do is get the original radio out of this car. So let's get the body shell off. This should be quite a straightforward and easy task because we've got the original receiver mounted right up on the top. We will be taking out the external LiPo monitor. It's not really an issue. I've also got lots of LiPo alarms I can use, so that's not nothing that I'm too concerned about. It's a feature that I like having, but if it hasn't got it, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So we'll just disconnect the ESC and steering. So steering channel 1 and your ESC in channel 2. We just need to get this thing to release. So we'll be taking that one out. Right, so let's get us receiver into position and stick that down. And certainly for the Tamiya cars, these are literally a perfect fit for this little shelf. Absolute perfect size. So we want to connect our ESC into channel 2. We want to connect our servo for steering into channel 1. And then we can remove the cabling for the DVB because we're not going to be using that anymore. Just try not to cut any wires. So we'll keep that to one side, and then I'll just find somewhere nice and safe to put the antenna wire. So that is how we're fitting it, and it just fits on one of the tabs. So let's get you in for a close look and we'll show you how we bind this up. Right, so first thing you're going to want to do is set up the controller. So we're going to go into model memory. We're going to make sure everything is set to 0 and the endpoints are all set to 100. Check your sub trims, make sure they're all set to 0. Check your dual rates, so they're all turned off, and you've got no expo curve set on anything because you don't want any sort of weird behaviour or unexpected behaviour. So next we're going to want to go to model name. So let's see what we can do with this. So it's a little counterintuitive the way you actually press up and down. I'm not seeing anywhere to enter a space, which is strange. But we can get the name. So it's definitely enough of a name to let you know which model it is. So you get a smiley face when you've saved it. So that should give us his name. We don't want to copy, we don't want to reset or anything, so we can then come out of that menu. So looking at as bind, we want it in two-way, RX type standard. So we'll leave it on PWM and I.BUS. Frequency, we'll leave set at 330 to start with, see how that works. And then you want to click Start. Now, with this particular receiver, when you connect the battery and turn it on, it should go into Autobind mode. So if I now switch that on, so it's flashing quickly. And then without pressing anything else at all, it is now bound up. Now what you've got to remember is, if you turn on the RC first with this type of receiver, it will go into Autobind mode after a few seconds. So the whole time you've got this set up, always have your remote set to the correct model and turn your transmitter on first and then turn on your receiver. But let's see how what we've got. So we've got steering. So it looks like we need to reverse the throttle, but the steering's fine for now. So, and it's also working at 333 Hertz. So we go back into his menu, then we want to be in his options menu. So as reverse, if we pull forward, pull on the trigger, we've got nothing, and if we press backwards, we're going forwards. So as ESC is channel 2, so we need to reverse that. And then come out. So now we've got forward, brake, and then reverse. So that's all working okay. And we should be able to see the light on the ESC. So it's going all the way to its off points where the light goes out, so that means it's full travel. Right, next thing we're going to want to set up is our steering. So we're going to want to set as endpoints. So we can see we're massively oversteering at the moment. So let's get something to lift the front of the monster beetle up. So we can set the endpoints. So what you're going to want to do, go into your menu, and then we're going to look for EPA. Then you're going to go on steering. And then, as a rule, what I tend to do is drop these down really low, turn the steering, and then move them up. And you'll find a point where the servo just starts to chatter as though it's struggling against the endpoint. And then if you just back it down a little, you should get to the point where you can steer full lock and there's no straining. So then we can go to the opposite one, right. And don't worry if you can't get these numbers exact, because there's very few RC cars where the throw both ways is exactly the same. So at that we can go full lock to lock, and there's virtually no chatter from the servo at all. And that's what you're looking for. And then we can back out. Basically, that's a very easy setup for it. You can see you get a readout to show you where your throttle is, where your brake is, where your steering is. We've got the battery level of the transmitter. So, looks like it's going to be a successful little radio for using on the Monster Beetle and the like. So let's wrap this one up. So there you have it, nice little receiver, pretty easy to set up. We're not having a bind plug or anything to mess around with, just auto binds. Quite an interesting controller. I've got a full guide on all the settings and what this does, what the USB supports for and everything. If anybody's interested, I am running this from AA rechargeables, but they are the EBL 2800 milliamp hour. So Flysky do state on 1300 milliamp hour on this controller you'll get about 10 hours. So should be looking at around the 20-hour mark out of a set of those batteries. You can just put a 2S LiPo in the bottom. There's a JST plug for it as well. But if you like this kind of content, find it interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to share to friends and family or anybody that this kind of video might help. And I'll catch you guys again in the next one.